All right, hello and welcome on to another episode of the ISO Ball Podcast with your host, Derek Terrio, your place to learn about the NBA on and off the court. So we've got our first four-way pod. This is hella exciting. So with me today, I got Niko Moniz, Alex Azevedo, and Nick Raponi and myself. And we're going to do some awards this time around. I've been off for, a few weeks. There's a crazy lack of NBA content going around with this COVID-19 stuff. So we're just going to go and assume that the season has ended today after, 64 some odd games. And we're just going to run through our awards. First, before we start, how are you guys holding up with this COVID stuff? How y'all surviving this lack of NBA going on right now?
Barely.
Yeah.
Barely surviving.
It's been brutal.
No NBA, no soccer, no nothing. It's not happening very well, but I'm getting there.
This pod's going to help. I definitely enjoyed the research aspect of this, kind of got me back into it, but yeah, it's been tough.
Yeah, I've been watching old games, old ridiculous highlights from players I didn't even know were on certain teams. I've been watching Chris Paul highlights from 2011 Clippers, and I was like, oh my God, I forgot how good he was. That sort of stuff, which is good. Old games that NBA is re-airing has been good. Recently I watched Kobe's 65 against the Blazers in overtime. Yeah. That one was pretty ridiculous. So that's pretty much how I've been surviving. I'm missing. Sorry, go ahead, Nick.
One thing that I can't stand, though, people live tweeting events that already happened. I know what's happening.
Yeah, that does drive me nuts. That does drive me nuts. I totally agree. All right, cool. So let's kind of dive into it here. So we're doing an awards pod. Some of the awards that we are going to get into right now are MVP. I think that's pretty obvious. Sorry, the Zoom screen is still up. Rookie of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Most Improved, Sixth Man of the Year, Coach of the Year, and All NBA. I think let's kind of get the obvious ones, I should say, out of the way, and let's start with MVP. To most, this might not be as obvious. To me, this was pretty obvious, and I went with Giannis Antetokounmpo over LeBron James. Not to say that LeBron James didn't have a strong case, especially at 35 years old, year 17. The narrative is definitely there for them, or for him, I should say. But with being the Bucks record, Giannis's defensive play and the gap between him and LeBron on that end, even if you think that the offensive case is close, I think the defensive case just takes Giannis over the top by a significant margin. Do you guys agree, or do any of you got LeBron?
I got Giannis.
I got LeBron.
You got LeBron. Okay, state your case.
We're talking LeBron James. All right, listen. You want to talk most valuable player to their team? It's not even most valuable player to their team. Most valuable player in the NBA is LeBron James. You put him anywhere, and that guy balls out and wins. Look at the game 2 weeks before the season ended, Bucks, Lakers. LeBron shut down Giannis, took it to the Bucks, and they took that game. Giannis on the defensive end, I will give you, he is better on LeBron. Let's keep that conversation for Defensive Player of the Year. Let's keep MVP where it belongs, and that's in LeBron James because he's playing it like it this year. This guy is – look at other guys drafted in the same year. Carmelo Anthony, where's he? He's getting back into the league now at Portland. Not much. Dwayne Wade, retired. Chris Bosh, unfortunate, but he's out there as well. Darko Milicic, he's gone. But LeBron James has proved the test of time, and he's back this year, and he finally has a good supporting cast with Anthony Davis, and they're making magic together. I give him my MVP this year over Giannis because, frankly, Giannis, James Harden said it best. All you got to do is run and dunk, man. It's not hard. If I was that big and that strong, I'd do the same thing.
Oh, my God. Okay, two things. I can't believe you referenced Darko Milicic in this conversation. That might have been the most asinine thing I've heard in my entire life. But, okay, fair enough. So, I didn't think I was going to have to pull up the comparison tool on NBA.com, but here we are. So, listen, I think the thing that takes Giannis over the top – actually, you know what? Before I go on, Alex and Nick, did you guys have Giannis or did you guys have LeBron?
I got Giannis. He's got more points, more rebounds, best record NBA. And he doesn't have the cast that LeBron does have. He doesn't have Anthony Davis. Don't get me wrong. He has Chris Middleton. He's got players around him. But if you're talking about most valuable, and I hear LeBron. LeBron's been dominating the league, but I'm not factoring his age. I'm talking about this year, and Giannis is getting it done. Best record in NBA, and he's the most valuable player on his team.
No. I agree with you guys in a sense that if this was the Offensive Player of the Year award, like they have in the NFL, they have Offensive Player of the Year and MVP. Offensive Player, 100% Giannis Antetokounmpo. The guy's a freak.
No.
He scores.
Giannis could win defensive. You could argue he's Defensive Player of the Year. You could.
No. You definitely can argue that too. And listen, that'll come back around. What I'm just saying is for MVP, most valuable player, not the best offensive player, not the best defense, the most valuable player to their franchise is LeBron James this year.
You have an argument, but I'm with Alex, like all those stats, and Derek, all those stats, like 29.6 points a game, 13.7 rebounds, 5.8 assists, and one of the best defensive players in the game, best record in the NBA. That's what I got.
Fair points. They're fair points all around. I understand.
So I think the one thing that we forget here is that Giannis is not even playing. He's playing less than 31 minutes per game. LeBron is at 34.9. Giannis at 30.9. So Giannis is actually playing 4 minutes less than LeBron per game. So if we look at per 36 minutes and making things even, I'm just pulling up the tool right now. If we look at per 36, we're looking at Giannis at 34.5 points per game to LeBron's 26.5. We're looking at Giannis's 16 rebounds per game to LeBron's 8. LeBron still has him significantly in assists at 11 to 6.7, and LeBron actually beats him in steals just by a little bit. Also, I think Giannis's efficiency has been crazy ridiculous. I am going to give Giannis some credit for developing a three-pointer that has somewhat come around this year, as opposed to just not being a shooter, whatsoever. The true shooting for Giannis is at 62.4, where my apologies. The true shooting for Giannis is 60.8, where LeBron's 58.2. Giannis's usage is also 6 points higher. Usage rate being, the amount of times a player either attempts a field goal, a free throw, or turns it over. So 6 points higher than LeBron in the usage. So he's shouldering more of a load than LeBron James and doing it at a more efficient rate. So, that's my argument for Giannis. And I think I said it before, like, even if you want to argue that the offensive portion of things, can swing toward LeBron, it would be just barely. And then we get to the defensive side and things get blown out of the water. So that's my argument for Giannis. I think he's been more efficient. He hasn't done it he's done it in less minutes and put up similar production to LeBron in 4 less minutes per game. And his defense has been astronomically better than LeBron James. I'm willing to go that far. Although LeBron has been much improved defensively this year. I'll give him that.
You hit the nail on the head. He plays less minutes because his team doesn't need him to play more minutes because they blow out the team so quickly. You know what I mean? He's got a great team behind him. His team, his supporting cast is very underrated. Of course, Chris Middleton, he gets the praise he wants, but that whole cast as well plays their part and their role beautifully.
Lopez is unreal.
Giannis doesn't need to play those high amount of minutes, which tells me you never know. If he, per 36, he starts playing more minutes, opens up to injury, opens up a whole can of worms that we don't have to open up because it doesn't happen. LeBron in his 8 millionth season is still averaging almost 4 more minutes than one of the best players in the league, which is crazy to me. He's doing all of this at his age is insane.
It is. I don't disagree with that.
In a much tougher Western Conference. And the big difference for me was the game against the Bucks and Lakers 2 weeks before everything went down. I think 2 or 3 weeks before. I can't remember the exact.
I know the game you're talking about. Yeah.
LeBron dominated Giannis. It wasn't close. He shot, I think Giannis shot 2 for 11 or something like that. I don't remember the exact numbers. Don't quote me. It was about 2 for 11 Giannis shot, and the Lakers went on to the easy win. It's that game right there that, in my mind, LeBron's the MVP.
Yeah, you make good, compelling points. The head-to-head is clearly something we have to factor in, no doubt about it. And I would say I agree with you. I'd say LeBron probably did get the best of Giannis in that matchup and has at the very least held his own in any other. So I'm not doubting you there. Have they played twice this year? They have, right? The Lakers and Bucks. I think they played twice this year. At least once.
I can't remember. I know for sure it was the one game was a few weeks before all this closed up.
They did play another time because I remember watching it before I went on my cruise. I think the Bucks won that game, but again, I remember LeBron playing well in that game as well. I don't doubt what you're saying, Niko. I think LeBron does make a compelling case. To say that this race is like not even close, I think is a little unfair. I think that's going a little far and taking it to be too much, but I don't know, man. It's hard for me to overlook, what Giannis has done, and the fact that he's leading his team on pace to almost 70 wins, just under 70 win pace he was at. And it reminds me a lot of 15-16 Curry, right? Like where his teams were blowing out teams so badly that they didn't even need to play in the fourth quarter, and they were on pace for 70 wins. And it was Curry as a unanimous MVP, putting up a lot of the same numbers, now doing it in a different way. Obviously, efficiency was up for Curry because of his threes and what was most likely, I would say, a better roster than the Bucks at that time, and all that stuff. But it's eerily similar in terms of the profile, the MVP profile, where they're blowing out teams, they're on pace for almost 70 wins, and the MVP is not playing to his full potential because he doesn't even get a chance to. And I would be hard pressed to use that as an argument against Giannis, that he's not playing as many minutes as LeBron because his team is too good. I'm not a big fan of that argument, but nonetheless, I do respect your points for LeBron there, as I think that they're very valid.
Yeah, I think it's still a two-man race. Like, it's not a runaway for Giannis, but I still think it's like 75% of the votes. I think 70% of the votes would go to Giannis. That'd be my guess.
I would somewhat agree. I don't know how the vote distribution works.
No. I mean, if I had to guess a number. Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay. I think
let's move on. That one's two, man.
I agree. All right. We're going to go to another one that I think is, fairly obvious, maybe not to some, but to me and I think to us. Rookie of the year. I had Ja Morant. Does anybody else not have Ja Morant? Or should I say, does anybody else have Zion Williamson?
Ja.
I have Ja. I mean,
I have Ja. It's just unfortunate the season ended 20 games earlier.
If the season played the extra 20 or 18 games it was and Zion kept it going, I still think it's Ja because he played the whole season. Zion's only at 19 games right now?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's
personally, I think it should be Zion because you know what? No matter what the games he played, came in those 19 NBA games and just dominated. He's been putting up crazy numbers for rookies, and I think it should be him. But Ja deserves it for playing the whole season and playing at the level he has.
This does remind me. Sorry, go ahead, Nick.
I was just gonna say, look at the Grizzlies, how well they're doing though, too, right?
That's true.
That Ja hasn't been a big part of that. So I think
they're a tough team.
For sure.
That culture is reinventing. They used to be the grit and grind Grizzlies. Now Ja, Jaren Jackson Jr., Dylan, all those guys, they're coming in, they're making a new culture, and they're making that team a scary team.
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely.
We'll talk about Coach of the Year later, but Taylor Jenkins definitely has got some. Taylor Jenkins, the coach there. Yeah.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. He deserves some looks, that's for sure.
I agree with that. This actually reminds me a lot of the year Malcolm Brogdon won against Joel Embiid, because Embiid played like 33 games and Brogdon played a lot. The difference between this, though, where I think Zion has a very similar case to Embiid, Ja Morant is a way better rookie of the year than Malcolm Brogdon was. I mean, this dude is actually crazy. I think before, when me and Nick did a pod on, rookies, I made the statement that rookies are never efficient. Well, whoops. Because Ja is so efficient. He's at above average true shooting, above average of the league usage. Almost 50% from the field, taking 13.5 shots per game. He's got a better than a 2-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. Dude, Ja has been so damn good. He is ridiculous.
He's a baller.
So
the guy's a gamer, man.
He's a gamer.
The guy can play.
He's athletic. He's got the off the dribble game. He's got everything in the bag, and his bag is so polished already for a rookie that it's just ludicrous, how good it is. So
is this unanimous then, Ja?
Yeah.
I want to think one other thing though before we move on. He's not I don't have him winning, but some points I think Kendrick Nunn's been great. He's not.
He was my third.
Yeah, he was my third.
Yeah. He was my third as well, and I had Eric Paschall fourth, just for the mental exercise to see how deep I could go with this. What's been a considerably weak rookie class, I would say, all things considered, because Kendrick Nunn undrafted, Eric Paschall second rounder. I mean,
weak rookie class, and we'll all forget about it next year because next year is going to be an even weaker class.
Okay, well, that's another pod. That's another pod.
Right, for sure. Mm-hmm.
That's another pod, but you might be okay there. All right, let's move on. Defensive Player of the Year. I think we're going to have some disagreements here, and I'm excited.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want to be the one to go first. Somebody else who
I'll take it.
Okay, go ahead.
I got Giannis. I got Giannis for MVP.
Giannis.
I got Giannis for defensive.
I do not.
When I was doing my research, I was checking. When opponents are shooting on him when he's guarding them, 41.9%. That's the best in the NBA, and Milwaukee is the best defensive team. And I'm giving a lot of the credit, to be honest, but don't get me wrong, Brook Lopez is there. He was like one of my top 5 guys for Defensive Player of the Year. Like, Milwaukee's a very good team. Giannis covers a lot of positions, point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward. I just think he's just the most dominant defensive player right now. When people are going against them, they're not getting success, unless it was LeBron James a couple of weeks ago. But besides from that, we're not having success when they're on.
Niko love to hear that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's Defensive Player of the Year to me is another race between Lakers versus Bucks. Just instead of Giannis versus LeBron, it's Giannis versus Anthony Davis. I think it'd be really cool for Giannis to become the first player. I forget who's the last one to win it.
It
won
Jordan
MVP and DPOY. It was Jordan, right? Yeah, it was Jordan.
And Keem are the
was
only
the last
two
one.
other guys.
Yeah, to win MVP and Defensive Player of the Year. I think it can happen this year. I know I said LeBron, but like you guys said, Giannis probably will win the MVP. If he can win Defensive Player of the Year too, it'd be very cool. But again, I think it's a 2-man race between Giannis and Anthony Davis, with Rudy Gobert slightly there because he defended the whole world from seeing the rest of the season.
Oh my God. I knew that joke was coming. I knew it. Oh my God. Like, I forgot about it, and then you just put it up there. I was like, oh my God. That's pretty funny, Niko. So Niko, do you have Giannis as well?
I do have Giannis.
Okay, wow.
I
thought no one would. I thought no one would.
I have him. I
Nick's
have him over
AD.
AD. I will leave Nick to argue AD, but I could definitely see there being an argument for it, and it could go either way in my mind. I'm leaning Giannis just because I went LeBron and MVP. I got to give Giannis something this year, right? He's got to win something.
Okay, go ahead, Nick. Argue AD.
All right, my reasoning for AD: Lakers are now a top 5 defensive team in the NBA.
They're third, correct.
Let's be real, AD is the best defensive player on that team. So I think
hands down.
Yep, that's fair.
He's an elite rim protector. Like, we were talking about him being considered a 5 earlier. He is a 4, but you could consider him a 5. And for a guy his size, he guards the perimeter pretty damn well. Like, so I think all things considered, it's AD, just because of how good the Lakers D is this year, what he does for that defense on both the paint and the perimeter. And yeah, that's the reason I got it. It's just he's helped transform that Lakers D to a new team. And he's always another, I know this isn't fair, but it kind of goes back to like kind of the stuff Niko was saying. AD's never won a Defensive Player of the Year. And for a guy that elite of a defensive player, I think this is the year. He gets his award this year.
Okay, fair argument. I mean, I watched a little bit of film. A lot of what Alex said, I think is fair. The fact that Giannis can be trusted to guard at least 4 positions, possibly 5. And I took a look. I went into the NBA defensive dashboard tracking, or whatever the hell you want to call it, which to be fair can be a little bit murky. There's a lot of things that aren't really considered in these stats, but there is some stuff that stands out. A lot of that stuff is the fact that around the rim, in terms of defense, Giannis, based on these statistics, proves to be just a lot better. So when shots are shot against Anthony Davis with less than 6 feet, anything less than 6 feet, AD allows a 50% field goal percentage. Giannis 42. That's a significant amount of difference. Anything less than 10 feet, Giannis allows 41% field goal percentage. AD 47. That's significant. And anything from 15 feet and above, Giannis allows a 31.7% field goal percentage. AD about 31. So AD a little bit better from 15 feet and beyond. But from what matters from the guys at this position, which is anything from 10 feet to the rim, 50% for AD at less than 10 feet or at less than 6 feet, 47% at less than 10 feet, and then Giannis is at 42 at less than 6 feet and 40 at less than 10 feet. So
Giannis has like 5-6 inches on every guy he covers as well, so that helps with the contests as well. Fair
enough. But his versatility to be able to guard those guys is also counts. And
sure.
Not to say that AD can't switch or anything like that. I'm not saying that at all. But just the fact that you can do that and feel comfortable about it. Like I haven't watched deep enough into the Lakers, pick and roll coverage to see if they're willing to switch AD on the guards often or how they want to play that. I didn't go that deep. But to me, I think I've seen enough of Giannis guarding a myriad of other players where I think it's very fair to say that he's comfortable guarding at least 4 positions, possibly 5. And I think he's just been a more impactful defender on a more impactful defense in the Bucks. The Bucks are, 4 points better on defense than the second best team.
The Bucks also have Middleton. They have Lopez. Who else can you name that's that good of a defensive player in the Lakers? No.
Danny Green, Alex Caruso, Dwight Howard, LeBron James. All those guys are great defenders. What do you mean?
They're not at the level of Lopez or Middleton. That's not even a question.
No, but I named 5 of them. You named 2.
Can I bring up a point?
AD means so much more to his team defensively than Giannis.
Can I
would disagree. Player of the year, not defensive team of the year.
I would disagree with that statement.
No,
Can
I bring up a point that I brought up on the ISO Ball pod last time I was on it?
Oh, I love that. Go ahead.
Who cares about defensive player of the year? We're in a league where these players are scoring at will. They're scoring way more than ever before. So yeah, you're good at defense, but you're still getting put up. Your team's getting 100 points on you every game. Who cares about defensive player of the year? It's an award to me that's irrelevant now. I don't care about it.
It's not as relevant as it used to. I'll give you that.
That's what I'm saying. It's not as relevant as it used to be. Why are we even talking about it?
Well, maybe it's not as relevant, but it's just because the circumstances have changed. I mean, the pace is a lot higher. There's a lot more possessions per game, which will explain the scoring. A lot of guys it's a pace and space league now. So all 5, at least 4 of your guys are likely to be able to shoot 3-pointers, which, the points per possession on every possession is going to be higher. And there's more of them, which explains the scoring. And I would argue the other way too, is that if you're defensive player of the year, it means you've been impactful in a league that's catered against what's supposed to be your skill set. So the league is trying to actively give defenders a disadvantage. So if you prove to be defensive player of the year, that's not because, he was, an overall, a below average, defender in a league where he's putting up 120 points per game. No, it means you've been able to defend in a league that has clearly put in rules in place to disadvantage you as a defender. So I think that I don't agree that, it's a less impactful award. I just think the circumstances have changed and we have to adjust our expectations given the way the league has gone. I don't think it necessarily says anything about the way that, defensive player of the year is valued. It's just the rules as a defender have changed. And so you have to play defense differently, but I don't think that lowers the impact of the award, in my opinion.
You both make valid points, for sure.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan. That's all it is. It's defense. You know what? Marcus Smart, to me, there's a lot of great, better defensive players that just don't put up the rebounds, the blocks, all those numbers because they don't get taken on. You know what I mean? It's the position. If you're a point guard that's an elite defender, you're not getting targeted every night because they'll give the ball to the star players, usually a shooting guard, small forward, whatever, to attack you. So you don't have the option to put up those numbers. So I just think it's a very hard award to distinguish, and especially in this league, I don't know how important it is. Honestly, it's one of my least important awards that they give out at award season. It's the one I care least.
And I think the other thing that we tend to overlook is that we don't really have the numbers to judge defense like we do offense. Like I feel like defense is a lot more of untracked stuff. Like, did you blow up a handoff? Like that, there's no stat for that. Like, did you defend the pick and roll well? Like, did you force a tough shot on the perimeter? Like, yeah, maybe there's some like minuscule stats to be able to like go grab that. But like overall, like all we really have is like blocks and steals and, defensive value over replacement. But like mostly it's just the eye test. Like that's really what we have. So, I mean, that's for whatever that is. Okay. So we had Giannis and AD 1 and 2, respectively. Who did you guys have as your third or fourth, or did you guys even go that deep and just felt it was a 2-guy race?
I told you, Rudy Gobert.
I had Rudy Gobert third, and I think Nick, we agree. I had Brook Lopez 4.
Yeah, Brook Lopez.
I had Lopez 4.
I had Marcus Smart 4.
Interesting. Okay, I like that. No, I'm not going to disagree with that at all. I think he's been. I think we didn't do our all defensive teams, but if we did, I think he would be
he's a guard
on at least second team or most likely first team. I agree.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
Okay, let's move on. Most improved player. We got a few candidates for this, and I think I said we were going to disagree last time, but I think we're going to disagree this time. I think.
Yeah.
Okay, my most improved player this year is Brandon Ingram. Does anybody disagree?
He was my second.
I disagree. He was my second.
Love it. Yes. Okay. So let's go left to right. Nico, who was yours?
So Ingram is my third, not even my second.
Okay. Beautiful.
My second. My second, I have Bam Adebayo as my second.
I like it.
And my first, honorable mention to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Okay.
He's improved greatly. And to me, all these guys that I'm naming, Ingram and Tatum, my number one is Jason Tatum.
Interesting. Okay.
Most improved.
Wow.
This guy has taken his game not only to another level, he's taken it to another stratosphere on a great Celtics team. He's increased his points per game by over 8 points. He's increased his blocks. He's increased his assists. He's increased his total rebounds. The guy's gone to another level. He's more efficient this year, and he's on the Boston Celtics, who are a great team. You know what I mean? He's not doing these numbers on a crappy team. So to me, Jason Tatum has been that guy. Ingram, to me, he's gone to another level this year, but he should have been on this level last year and the year before. He's finally getting there, and we should recognize him, but he's doing it on a Pelicans team that he was put into that role. He's going to put up those numbers. We all know Brandon Ingram was capable of this. Coming into the draft, we all saw the player he was. He brought the comparisons to Kevin Durant scoring-wise, and now he's the number one on the team because Zion wasn't there, and he put up those numbers. I wasn't surprised to see him. Good for him, and he has improved, but I think you got to look at Jason Tatum and even Bam Adebayo before him in most improved this year.
Can I ask you a question? And
sure.
with that analogy that, we should have seen this coming, this should have been there the whole time. Can't we make that same argument about Jason Tatum?
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, 100%. And Jason Tatum was good last year. Don't get me wrong. He was a very good player this year, and now this year he's even better. You know what I mean? He keeps elevating his game. Whereas Brandon Ingram has come out of nowhere this year as that guy because he has not shown this at any of his previous years when he was in LA. He hasn't shown this at all. And this is the first year when he's put into that number one scorer's role on the New Orleans Pelicans, and he's doing the numbers that we all thought he could have been doing when he was drafted to the Lakers. So good for him. I don't want to take anything away from him. I just think for most improved, you got to look at guys that are bettering themselves and doing different things each and every year. And to me, that's Jason Tatum and Bam Adebayo, who's just a crazy story. That guy, that's such a good story. I hope one of those two win. I could see Ingram winning as well. And again, too, you know what? Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I know he's Canadian, so I'm kind of biased, but the guy's done some great numbers this year. He's up 9 points per game. He's up by 4 rebounds. It's crazy. The guys are playing very well, and he needs to be recognized. Is he in the top 3? I don't know, but shout out to Shai.
Okay, I'll make my argument for Jason Tatum in a second. Nick, who did you have as your number 1?
I got Bam number 1. Number 2, I had Ingram. Number 3, I had Dennis Schroeder.
Interesting. Okay, make your argument for Bam because Niko mentioned him in passing, but I want to hear the argument for Bam because there is a good one.
Mm-hmm.
For me, Bam, it's just what he does for that team. Firstly, I just want to mention he brings up the ball. Not too many fives you see bring up the ball sometimes. I'm not saying he does it all the time, but he does it sometimes. He went from 8.9 points per game to 16.2 points per game. And I know usage is up and everything like that too. But Bam went from 7.3 rebounds to 10.5 rebounds. And the big one here, he went from 2.2 assists to 5.1 assists per game. So Bam, he's doing a lot for you on the court. Miami's doing well, and his improvements are just staggering to me. That's why he has the edge.
And I want to build on that too. He was a center last year. This year he's played center and power forward a lot. So switching positions too and still putting up these numbers in a small ball league is so impressive.
For sure. That's why I got Bam. And that to that point too, Niko. That's for me. What Bam's not only have his numbers just skyrocketed, it's just what he's done for the team. And that's why he's my most improved player.
Alex, who you got?
Yeah, I got Luka Doncic.
You know what? He was my number 2. I like that you picked him. Make the argument.
Okay, now you guys are saying points for Tatum was 8 better, Bam was 8 better. Luka Doncic went from 21 to 30.1. He went from 7.8 rebounds to 10.1. He went from 6 to 9.5. He's almost averaging a triple double. He was nowhere. He's been so much better, and he does have his team is not that bad. He's got Porzingis now. Bam has got Jimmy Butler. Tatum has a good team around him, so I can see why their stats are a little less better than Luka's because Luka is the star on his team. But even right now, they're saying that I believe they're 7th place, but they're tied for 5th place, same amount of wins, 40 wins, 40 wins, 42. So they're right there. They're, especially in the top Western Conference, Luka has it. He's just basically averaging a triple-double, and he was nowhere near that the season before. So I just think his improved from the 3-point percentage, field goal percentage. I just feel like his overall game.
I like that. I
love Luka. I love Luka. Just my opinion, you can't win most improved in your second year. I feel like you have to play at least 3 years before you can be eligible for most. I know it's not the rules. Just in my head, you got to have more than 1 year to be most improved because we want to see you over time get that way. And to me, that's at least 3 years in the league. That's my only issue with that.
Niko, I tend to agree with that, but Luka made such a jump like such a jump that like I threw those rules like right out the window. Like I threw him right out the window. I'm sorry, I threw him right out the window. He was just so good, but he didn't win it for me. It was Brandon Ingram. And another thing for as a point for Luka, Dallas has the best offense in the NBA. People don't really realize that, but
NBA
they have
history.
Yeah, like
they're gonna beat the 2015-16 Warriors in offensive rating.
I'm not sure if they're still on pace for that. I think that was when they were at 118. Right now they're at 115.8 per 100 possessions. That's more than 2 points better than the second place Houston Rockets. So like that gives you perspective. Like, and this is Luka running that offense. So I love that pick. Right. I'm glad, Alex, that you picked him. I want to go back to my argument here for Brandon Ingram. Brandon Ingram, obviously the 6 points per game better, is great. The true shooting going up 4% is great. The usage going up another 5 points is great. But I think the thing that we fail to realize is I don't remember a player that has shot the ball better from year to year than Brandon Ingram did this year. For perspective, he went up 5 points in 3-point percentage. He's taking much tougher looks as the primary option over there in New Orleans. He's taking, off the dribble shots, all that sort of stuff. And his percentage went up 5 points as well. So he went from 1.8 attempts last year to 6.3 this year. And his percentage went from 33 last year to 38.7 this year. So he bumped up his attempts about 5 attempts per game, and his percentage went up 5 points, and he's taking tougher shots. Like, what more do you want? And I know, I don't want to disparage the Pelicans because I was high on them coming into this year. I like Lonzo Ball. I like JJ Redick. I like Drew Holiday. But for Brandon Ingram to come in here with those 3 guys and just say, no, I'm going to be the go-to guy on this team. Forget all of you guys. And to come in here and to just where he wasn't necessarily his place to be the number 1 scorer and just take over that role with the efficiency that he has. I think he's just been absolutely fantastic. And that's pretty much my case for him, is that his shooting from year to year has been nearly unprecedented. Did you know he was shooting 67% from the free throw line last year, and he's shooting 85 this year?
No, his growth is great, and he has improved leaps and bounds. But again, it's not like he was good last year and improved even better this year. He wasn't that great the past few seasons. I mean, he's put up decent points per games everywhere, but you said his efficiency, all his free throws was terrible. He wasn't a great player last year. So yeah, he's a good to great player now on a below average team, but I don't know. I just can't give it to him in my head.
I guess just my preconceived notions don't factor in to my year-to-year jump. I guess to me, it's not about you should have been good last year and now you're doing it this year. Oh, finally. I just don't look at it like that for any single player. To me, I just judge you based on what I've seen from year to year. My preconceived notions of what you should have been or who you should be or how you how the people view you, that really doesn't matter to me. To me, it's only I view it from year to year. And to be fair, he really didn't have a chance to succeed to his full potential last year because of the fact that LeBron just kind of came in there and, kind of took over what was supposed to be him as the leading scorer. Remember, it was, Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, and then after that, you're looking at Julius Randle and all these other guys that, clearly are just not number 1 options. That was his role, to factor in. So the fact that he just came in and took over that role from him definitely stunted his growth at least a little, enough that the Lakers felt it was good to trade him. So if you look at, the improvement from what his role should have been in 17-18 to what it is in 19-20, 17-18 Brandon Ingram is more in the mold of what, 19-20 Ingram is now as a primary scorer, right? And then if we look at that, the numbers are even more drastic than they were, the time before. So, I don't want to get into it. I think I've made my case for Brandon Ingram, but I just think
Ingram. Sorry, are you saying Ingram because his points jumped up a lot and his free throw percentage? Is that what you're basing it off?
So not just the points, but also the efficiency, the usage from last year, and the fact that his 3-point percentage has jumped more than any other player that I can remember in recent memory. Again, it's not just the 5% better. It's the fact that he's shooting 5 more attempts per game to get to that 5% better, and the fact that his shots are tougher because he's got the primary defender guarding him on a night-to-night basis, unlike last year where that guy would have been sticking LeBron. So between all of that, like you can see how, how the shooting has really jumped up a bunch of points. And obviously, yeah, the free throw shooting is there. His assists are up at least 1.5 as well. Assist percentage is up as well. So, he's just become an all around better player to me. And yeah, maybe Niko does have a point that we probably should have seen this coming because, Brandon Ingram was a number 2 pick, like out of Duke. Like he was like that like next Kevin Durant is how everybody was touting him. But I just don't factor that in as much. And I just think that he's been, low-key like one of the most improved players. And that's why
I'm with you, Derek. He's my number 2 for all those reasons you said. And I want to point out something about Luka as well. Like, I know it's a totally different league, but Luka's been playing professionally since he was 16. So he's been playing against good men for a long time.
He's been playing big man ball.
Like, if you look at Ja, his rookie numbers, you look at Doncic, and we're all amazed what Ja is doing. And Luka's numbers all better than more points and more rebounds than him and more assists than Ja. So it's like you want to see Ja next year now. For him to match Luka, he's got to get 27 points a game.
Yeah,
right. That's a good way to look at it. Yeah,
that's something he's not gonna. I don't think he's gonna accomplish. Maybe, but for Ja, I can't see him jumping 10 points and jumping 4 rebounds, 3 assists. Like, well, Luka.
No, you're right. Luka's made a huge leap this year. I just stick with my opinion of this award that you have to play at least 3 years in the league to be eligible for it. Just because after your rookie year, you're still in your sophomore season. Once your third season, that's when you know how much you've improved over the course of your career. I think 2 years is too small because we were all expecting Luka to do great things. Add Porzingis into that lineup, Luka might be hitting these same numbers last year in his rookie year, right? We don't know.
Sure.
Yeah, you're right. Mm-hmm.
Fair. Also, we're all Raptors fans here. Where did you guys have Pascal Siakam? I know he was on the trajectory to be most improved player. I know the notion that winning it twice in a row is, pretty much impossible given the narrative against you and all that stuff. But did you guys give him a look at all? As
he was top 5 for me.
He's top 5. Okay.
Yeah, no look because of the reason you said. He won it last year.
Yeah.
I'm not giving a guy a most improved 2 years in a row. And honestly, if I'm Siakam, I don't want that award 2 years in a row. You got to go from most improved into the MVP conversation. You don't want to stick in the most improved conversation 2 years in a row. That's garbage. I wouldn't want it if I was Siakam, and I'm not giving it to him now.
Yeah, I didn't.
That's no problem.
I mean, off the top of my head, he'd be a guy I'd be like, he's taking big leaps, but especially without Kawhi there and everything. But like after really digging into it, I didn't really give him much of a look.
Yep, I tend to agree. I just wanted to kind of bring him up because I know he was on pace for that at the start of the year, and he did kind of fall off. I agree. All right, we're ready to move on. Sixth man of the year. All right, we're going to disagree with this one too, and I love it. Okay, I'll go first. My sixth man of the year is Dennis Schroeder. Does anybody have Dennis Schroeder as their sixth man of the year? Yes, we got one. Nick? Did Nick freeze?
No, my brother did, though, if that counts.
Okay. Okay, Nick, who did you have?
Montrez.
And Alex?
Montrez.
Okay, Montrez was my number 2. Okay, I'll go ahead and state the case for Dennis Schroeder. Dennis Schroeder, it was in Nick's most improved category. And that's not by accident. Dennis Schroeder has really taken a leap this year. For one, he's playing, in one of the best crunch time offenses in the NBA in that OKC lineup with Paul, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Danilo Gallinari, Dennis Schroeder, and Steven Adams. Now, I know, Chris Paul is running a lot of that clutch offense. I get that. But Dennis Schroeder has low-key been very good. Just by himself here. His efficiency is there. 59% true shooting is the highest of his career. Oh, sorry, I'm looking at Brandon Ingram. My bad. Whoops. Sorry. 57% true shooting is still the highest of his career by 5 points. The usage is about career average for him. But again, he 19 a game, on 47% from the field, 38% from 3, which is the highest of his career. He's taking the most attempts of his career as well. His assists are a little bit lower than he was in Atlanta, but he was more of a primary ball handler, in Atlanta. And I think one of the things I like about Dennis Schroeder that people kind of sleep on is I love Dennis Schroeder's defense, man. Dennis Schroeder, low-key, is a defender on the ball that I think most people don't realize. In a few of the Rockets games against Houston, Dennis Schroeder is the guy picking up James Harden and doing a very good job against James Harden. He has very quick feet. In the game that me and Nick went to against Detroit, he was pestering the ball 94 feet for their point guards against Detroit, making it so difficult. And he does this on a night-to-night basis. So I think his defense is, probably vastly underrated at this point. I think his efficiency has gone through the roof. He's playing on what is right now, I think, just outside of a top 10 offense. If I'm not mistaken, they are currently – oh, no, actually, they're 14th. Okay, so they're middle of the pack. But it's the best crunch time offense in the NBA. His three-point shooting has come along. He can still get to the rim. His first step is still one of the quickest in the league. I love what Dennis Schroeder's done this year as a sixth man, and he's the guy I got.
So I'll jump in now since me and you both agree on Schroeder before we get into the other two with the argument on Harrell. Sure. Harrell's my third. Lou Williams is my second. Just for shades. And I'm a big Vegas guy, like betting guy. So the top three, there's the three top leading odds makers have Lou Williams in first, Harrell second, Schroeder third, and then literally it's a big gap until fourth. Like it's a three-man race by far. And what settles it for me is, like Derek said, Schroeder's been playing another level this year. He's been clutch on the bench, coming off the bench for Oklahoma. And here's my biggest issue is that if you take Harrell off the Clippers or you take Lou Williams off the Clippers, they're still the Clippers. They're still going to get their wins. They're still going to be one of the best teams in the West. You take Schroeder off the Thunder, and that Thunder team is nowhere near as good as they currently are. And that's why I give him six-man.
I don't disagree with that.
That's a good point. And, to be fair, Montrezl Harrell was my number 2. So it's not like he was out of the conversation for me. So state your case for Montrezl, Nick, and then we'll go Alex. Or either one first, doesn't matter.
No, Nick, you can start off.
You want to start, Alex? Or you want me to start?
You can start off.
Okay, yeah. For me, it's just look how good the Clippers are doing, A. And I think his contribution on both ends, offense and defense, is a big part of that. Like you said, without him, the Clippers,
yes.
He's a great defensive player, and offensively, 18.6 points a game. Assists, obviously not that much, and 1 point.
Getting a little choppy here.
No,
the defense is there, the team.
Oh, Nick, you're chopping up on me, man.
Yeah, Nick, slow down a little bit. You're getting too excited about Harrell as sixth man of the year. Your camera's starting to get a little choppy. Yeah, there you go. I think you're back in. Let's go. Let's hear it.
I have internet right now. I don't know what it is. My internet's just terrible right now. It happened.
Okay.
Connection unstable. But,
no problem. All right, Alex, go and give your case. Maybe Nick can figure out the internet in the meantime. Give it a shot.
It was a tough between Harrell and Lou. Lou averages a slight bit more than Harrell, but I think it's not fair to say that Harrell is not as important to the Clippers. I feel like he comes off the bench, plays power forward, played center off the bench, and he does play like a lot of minutes coming off the bench too. I think he's very underrated defensively. His shooting, he's the best in the NBA, 59.2% from the floor. So the shots he's getting, and he's not missing his chances when he gets them. So when he comes to the bench, he doesn't miss his chances. He plays a lot of minutes. He averages 7 rebounds, 18.6 points. So he averages just a little bit under Dennis Schroeder, yeah. But when he's taking less shots than Schroeder, and the Clippers are a better team, so I could see why that could factor a little less for him. But I think Harrell's important to the Clippers.
Yeah, I can see that argument. Looks like Nick dropped out of the call. Hopefully he tries to get back in when he figures out his internet, just in case anyone's wondering.
Okay.
But yes, Harrell is good. But when sixth man of the year, when it comes to my head, it's that guy that comes off the bench, puts in the buckets that need to be put in, and then gets off. And you know what? That's why we can't discredit Lou Will for this award too. Yeah. Lou Will has a very good chance of winning this award again for how many times? Like the 18th time in his career. There's a reason Drake sang sixth man like Lou Will. Like that guy is just the perfect definition of the player you want in the six-man role. So, sure. It's a tough award to give out. Harrell, Lou Williams, and Schroeder, any one of them can win it, and I wouldn't be upset. I think it should be Schroeder, but it could be any of the three, and I could see it happening.
Yeah.
One guy I gave consideration to that I didn't really think was going to be in there until I looked it up. 2 guys, actually. Derrick Rose.
So he's fourth on the odds list for sixth man. Yeah. But like I'm saying,
his case is pretty good.
Schroeder's third in odds at plus 250. Derrick Rose is fourth at plus 1,000. That's the biggest gap between them in the betting odds right now. Like it's not even close.
And another guy I considered too when I took a look at this, dude, Norman Powell. I think we all forgot how good Norman Powell has been this year. Like he had that stretch.
That's what it is. He had those games.
He had that stretch after he picked up Fred VanVleet's kid and got the powers that came with it, just like Fred did in the playoffs. And he played unreal for that stretch of games. Then he got hurt. Then he came back, played another great stretch, and then got hurt again. I don't think he's played he didn't start off the season as strong as he got into it. So that's why I agree with you in a sense that he could be a candidate if he had that way the whole season, but he didn't. So I don't know too much.
Can I just give you the stats on Norm Powell real quick? Because I think like when I looked at this, I was shocked. Okay, he's averaging 16 a game, right? 16 a game. He's averaging 50%. He's 50% from the field. He's 40% from three on 5.4 attempts per game. His true shooting is at 63 on 21 usage. Like, holy crap. Yeah. Like, dude, he has been so good. And I didn't even realize how good he's been this year.
Derek, I could be wrong, but didn't he start a lot of those games when he came back because of injuries to Fred VanVleet?
I'm thinking Kyle Lowry too got hurt. Kyle Lowry got hurt.
And there was hurt, and I know Powell started a lot of those games when he played like that. That's why I don't know if he qualified for six man.
Fair. I didn't think about that, but I still, he played 44 games. I still think, and I think that his injury might have coincided with that of VanVleet's at the same time. So I think he's still coming off the bench more than he's starting. I think he's still in that six-man range. But okay, fair enough. It's not like he won it for me, but I just I think of Powell right now as a six-man given the fact that Lowry and VanVleet are the starters. And I was just so surprised to see his case when I started looking it up. That's all. Not that I had him, anywhere high or anything, but I just wanted to bring him up because I thought it was
so he's played 44 games. He started 23 of them.
Oh, he just missed it.
So he just missed it. He just missed it. He just misses the cut.
Okay, my bad. Still though, was real surprised to see Norm Powell. Fair enough.
Good for Powell. And you know what? You're right. You can't take away from the fact that he had that stretch there where he was putting up over 20 points a game. Like he definitely deserves some credit for the year he's having.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I'm just trying to get Nick back on here. He's going to try to get on his phone.
Oh, he told me his internet is completely down.
Yeah,
okay,
I know.
Well, so it's tough. We'll see if he gets back in the conversation. If he does, we'll figure it out. If not, the show must go on, like they say.
Right.
So
I agree. I feel for the guy. All right, let's do Coach of the Year, and then let's go back to All NBA to end this thing. I hope we can get Nick on for All NBA because I want to hear that. Okay, Coach of the Year. I had Nick Nurse.
I got Nick Nurse.
Nico?
Nick Nurse is going to win the award. Let's be real. It's a runaway show.
Who do you got, though?
Award. If I want to play the argumentative card, I think you can make an argument for two other coaches.
Me too.
The one with less of an argument, I'd say, is Taylor Jenkins, who Nick brought up earlier, the coach of the Memphis Grizzlies. That team has been a completely different culture. They have done so many good things this year with the talent that they have. It's been very impressive. I have him as third on my list. Second on my list, and who the only one I think could rival Nick Nurse is Spoelstra. The things he has done with the Miami Heat
Talk to me about Spoelstra.
The things he has done with the Miami Heat team this year that's taken undrafted rookie Kendrick Nunn, that's taken rookie Tyler Hero, that's taken all these players and gelled them so well from the start. They've been gelling like a gorgeous team going like that. And Spoelstra gets overlooked so many times as one of the best coaches in the NBA. Because when they had the big three, everyone said it's all LeBron, Wade, Bosh. You don't need a coach. Spoelstra is a great coach, and he's done some wonderful things with this Miami Heat team. Sure, they have Butler, but they're a fantastic team, and Spoelstra deserves a lot of credit for that.
I agree. Hey, we got Nick back?
It looks like he's trying to get in there.
There we go.
Is.
Yo.
There we go. It's all right.
I'm on my phone now, so.
You didn't miss much. We were just talking about Norm Powell's case for sixth man of the year, and then we found out he played 23 out of 44 games, and he just missed the cut. So you really didn't miss much. Like, literally didn't miss nothing.
I'm sure Alex touched upon the good Hero points anyway. So.
Yeah, he did. He did make some very valid points. We're on to Coach of the Year now. Who is your Coach of the Year?
I got Nick Nurse, but Jenkins is a close second.
Yeah, so that's what Nico said as well. Let's just talk about Nick Nurse for a second. Nick Nurse, I think right now, and you might sound crazy, has a case as one of the maybe the best coach in the NBA. I know his sample is not that big. His only one championship. I get that. All that stuff. You obviously need to see more, but think about the creativity of Nick Nurse. The ability to say, okay, I'm going to think outside the box. How about a box and one? How about a triangle and two? How about we switch everything on this night where we need to? Or how about we get the ball out of Harden's hands and trap him and, try to make somebody else beat us? How about we, play drop coverage on this night? This guy is a defensive chameleon. He can literally take his defensive pieces and say, we're going to play this style on this night because of this this opponent. There is no other coach in the league that has their teams trained to be able to play all these styles of defense that Nick Nurse has been able to do. Is some of it because he has good personnel like Marc Gasol, like Siakam, like Anunoby, like Kyle Lowry that can switch? Yes, that does have something to do with it. I'm not going to lie. But to say that Nick Nurse is not one of the most innovative coaches in the NBA, I think would be an absolute lie. On offense, he still has that team running at an above-average rate. They're the number 2 defense in the NBA, and it's a lot of because of what Nick Nurse has done. If you remember back to Dwayne Casey was supposed to be the defensive coach. He was supposed to be the guy that had this defense performing at a top level, and Nick Nurse was, so-called like the offensive coordinator, if you want to do the NFL, NBA comparison or whatever. Now Nick Nurse has taken that defense to be better than what Dwayne Casey made it. Like that, there's something that has to be said for that, and it's consistent. Happened last year, happened this year, and the change in personnel. He lost Danny Green, who's almost a perennial all defensive guard, and Kawhi Leonard, who's one of the best defensive players in the league. Lost those 2 guys and says, all right, no problem. We can still make this defense one of the best in the league, and he has for 2 years in a row. And a lot of it is because that he's willing to switch up his coverages on a night-to-night basis based on who's playing. And I don't think a lot of other coaches are willing to do that, or any coaches are willing to.
No. My argument for Nick Nurse not winning it, because I feel like everyone's saying Nick Nurse is going to win it, myself included, but to play devil's advocate, my argument for him not winning it, and I believe he will win the award, and a lot of American media will see him and what he did with losing Kawhi and losing Danny Green and giving it to him. But from a Toronto Raptors fan perspective, we knew this team was going to be good even without Kawhi and Danny Green. I guess that's true. We knew Siakam would step up. We knew Lowry would still be here. We knew Van Vliet. We knew Anunoby would help out on the defensive end as well. We knew this team was still good in a weak Eastern Conference. We knew they had what it takes to be top 3. They're second. Arguably them in Boston, flip through who do you think's better? It could go either way. They have the better record right now. They're second. But so my argument against Nick Nurse would be he's still great, but this team is a fantastic team too. It's got tons of talent. When you look at guys like Taylor Jenkins taking Memphis to what they were, it's just insanely good. It's so good, and it normally it would deserve a coach of the year, because normally the best coach in the NBA doesn't get coach of the year. Or else Greg Popovich would have.
Last year.
No. I'm saying usually they don't. Or else Greg Popovich would have 10 coach of the years.
Fair enough.
So how about this to this point though for Nick Nurse though? Last year, if Dwayne Casey was still the coach, we made a trade for Kawhi or whatever. Would Dwayne Casey win with the Raptors with Kawhi Leonard?
I don't know. I don't know.
We'll never know. But oh man, that's.
It's tough. It's tough. You never know.
No, what Nick Nurse is doing for the Raptors it's great, man.
Yeah, that's a coulda, woulda, shoulda. I actually didn't have Taylor Jenkins in my top 3. Sounds crazy, I know. I had Bud second. I actually had Billy Donovan third. I mean, let's face it. When we looked before the season started, where did people have OKC? I mean, in a very similar position to Memphis, I saw at the beginning of the year 0.1% chance to make the playoffs. 0.1.
That's just stupid, though. Who did that math?
That's crazy.
ESPN. ESPN did that math.
That explains it.
Every team also had the Raptors not even making the playoffs half the time.
Exactly.
So,
well, that was Sam Mitchell and Dennis Scott. So I don't want to rewrite history here. But look, I think the argument for Billy Donovan is very similar to the argument for Taylor Jenkins. Billy Donovan has a little bit more talent. I agree with that. But he also was able to maximize that talent. I think there's something to be said for that. There's a lot of misfit pieces on OKC, 3-point cards. How the hell was that going to work? Oh, well, turns out it could be the best clutch offense in the NBA. We've got, Steven Adams and Nerlens Noel. Oh, yeah, we can make that rotation work, and we can even sprinkle a little Mike Muscala in there. Oh, who the hell was going to get anything out of Luguentz Dort or any of these guys, right? Like, what about Terrence Ferguson? Oh, somehow he's shooting the ball better this year. He never shot the ball well. All these things have come together so good, in fact, that currently, as it stands today, and we're assuming the season ended today, OKC had the same record as the Houston Rockets, and they have the tiebreaker. So they have a better record than the Houston Rockets. Like, you're going to tell me none of that is coaching, giving the pieces that they had? I think you would be foolish to think that.
I don't disagree. Like, it's some to do with coaching for sure. But, yeah, it's a lot of, I think it comes down to the coaching too. The player development's been great for sure. Yeah.
Player development there has been good. Not to take away from Billy Donovan, but, he's been lucky as well to have a resurgence Chris Paul. You could say that's up to Billy Donovan as well. I don't know if it is, but Chris Paul has been playing back to the level he played years before when he looks like he's found his love for the game again. Maybe it just was him and Harden didn't mesh well. I don't know what it was, but he looks like he's truly back to his old self. So that's another reason Oklahoma's doing as well too. I'm sticking with Spoelstra. I mean, that Miami team is a great team. They play really good basketball. They play really nice to watch basketball, which is a nice change of pace when you look at teams like the Houston Rockets, who I'm sorry, I can't stand watching them. So to me, I think Spoelstra deserves a little credit here as well. But again, I think we're all unanimous that this is Nick Nurse's award to win.
Right.
I agree. All right, Nick, I'm so glad you made it back just in time for NBA, All NBA. This is our last category here. We're going to go through this. Okay, so the way I did All NBA was I picked a group of players, and I'm going to list them off. These are all the guys that were in consideration for the award. Okay, not all of them. Obviously, we have to have some cuts. But here's the group of players I chose from. So if you didn't make this list, you weren't even in the discussion for me. Okay, you guys ready for this?
Yep.
Okay.
Let's go.
Harden, Doncic, LeBron, Giannis, Leonard, Davis, Jokic, Gobert, Mitchell, Morant, Lillard, Booker, Walker, Embiid, Simmons, Westbrook, CP3, Tatum, Middleton, Paul George, Jimmy Butler, Siakam, Lowry, Beal, Trae Young. Did anybody have or consider any names that weren't on that list?
Yes.
Yes.
Go ahead.
At the same time, I missed a few of your names. Did you have Middleton or Bam Adebayo on there?
I was going to say, did you have Middleton or Bam?
I had Middleton on that list. I did not have Bam Adebayo on that list because I considered him, well, either way, if you want to consider him a forward or a center, it was going to be hard for him to make it in either of those spots, and I didn't even want to, I guess I considered him. Okay, I didn't put him on the list, but I definitely thought about Bam for sure, but he was cut out very quickly. We'll put it like that.
But put it this way, like we were talking about earlier, there's not too many good pure fives right now. I know he's not a pure five, but he classifies as a five. So you wouldn't even consider him for any of the three teams?
There's three center spots, and the three center spots were pretty clear, in my opinion. And if you didn't beat any of those guys, well, then you got cut pretty quickly because it's the least amount of spots on the All-NBA teams.
Yeah. I'm excited to hear your three centers because I was arguing between Bam and Embiid as my third team center because I classified Anthony Davis as one. I know you didn't classify Anthony Davis, so I'd love to hear who your third center is, because to me the three best pure centers would be Jokic, Bam, and Embiid. So after those three, I'd love to hear who you're putting in, unless it's maybe Gobert.
I have another center between all of you guys. I think Whiteside, man.
I didn't even consider Whiteside.
More points than Bam, more rebounds than him, more blocks than Bam. He's doing his job at the center. Portland's having not a bad season.
I'll tell you the problem with Whiteside. I'll tell you the problem with Whiteside. The problem with Whiteside is very similar to the problem with Mitchell Robinson. Whiteside jumps at absolutely everything. Everything, dude. He jumps at everything. You look at his foul rate. You look at how many times he jumps for a block and is way out of position. You look at his motor, which is absolutely not there whatsoever. It's actually, the thing with Whiteside is it's all the places that don't show up in the stat sheet where he's just awful to me.
Terrible.
But if you're looking at
100% with you.
Fouls, Whiteside averages 32 minutes. Bam averages 34 minutes. It's like they're on the court the same, and Whiteside's numbers are better, and Bam plays more minutes than him. Whiteside has more points, more rebounds.
Bam's also on the fourth place team in the East, and Whiteside's team's not even in the playoffs.
And Bam is the third option, debatably. You could say he's the second, but
same thing with Portland though. CJ and Damon.
Yeah. So I'll reference one thing I heard from Alonzo Mourning one time that really classified exactly what it's like for centers and blocks. And this is not universal, but I thought this was a very good point. Alonzo Mourning once said that, like, when his blocks would go down from season to season, he said that means I'm actually doing a really good job. It's because people aren't even thinking of challenging me anymore at the rim. I'm not blocking as many shots because people aren't even coming my way anymore because they know that shit is going to get swatted out of the arena. So that's kind of – and not to say that a lot of blocks is bad. That's not what I'm getting at whatsoever. But in this case, when we're talking about Whiteside and all the intangibles and stuff that I talked about, the fact that if I saw less – blocks from Whiteside, I'd be more encouraged because it would mean more that he's changing more shots instead of just jumping at everything. And that's a lot of the reason. Like, look at Mitchell Robinson, how many blocks he has. There's a reason he's not even in the consideration as one of the best defensive centers, in the league. And it's because of all the stuff that doesn't show up in the stat sheet that really hurts him. And I think Whiteside falls into that category.
For sure, I'm with you. On paper, yeah, you could maybe have an argument for Whiteside, but when you actually watch them play, like you said, Whiteside bites at everything.
And he gets caught out of position a lot of times. Okay, did anybody have anybody else outside of that list? I think we're good, right?
I think we're good.
Sorry, go ahead, Niko.
I was going to say, I think we're good. Let's start going through our first teams. If you had someone, leave him for a surprise when you read off your third team name. Okay. I know he's going to be on the third team because there's no way anyone on that list isn't on the first two teams.
Well, one of the guys that he's not on my third team or my first or second team. Did you have Simmons in the question? I know his offensive numbers.
He was in the group to consider.
Gotcha.
Okay. So we just want to go – do we want to just go through first team, second team, third team, or do we want to go through first team guard, second team guard, third team guard? How do you want to do this?
I think we do all first, all second.
Go through your whole first, go through second, then we go through third.
Okay, right. So I'm going to go through my first team. You guys let me know if you have anything different. I've got Harden and Doncic as my guards, LeBron and Giannis as my forwards, Jokic as my center.
I'm with you on all those.
Yeah, 100%.
I am completely different than you on all those.
Wow. Okay. You got me for a second.
Because I'm serious. And the reason why is because
AD, right?
I'm playing a different role. You're playing the strict, if you're going to be a center, you have to be a center. If you're going to be a guard, you have to be a guard. I'm playing the NBA media who actually vote for these awards. And I believe that Kawhi will be picked as a guard for an NBA team because he has played guard this year. And I'll have in my first team, Kawhi and Dame as my guards. And I have LeBron, Giannis, and Anthony Davis in the first team as well.
So you are totally different. Okay.
Anthony Davis at center, Giannis and LeBron at the forward spots. I think that's a lock. Kawhi at guard and Damian Lillard at guard.
Hasn't Paul George been the guard though? Hasn't Paul George been the guy at shooting guard?
Paul George didn't play the first 2 months of the season.
But wasn't it Landry Shamet that filled in at shooting guard and Kawhi at the three?
For a little, but Kawhi has played a lot of guard this year. If you even look on his thing, he's a guard forward.
Okay.
I'm telling you right now, they'll be able to vote for him at guard, and that's how they'll get him on the first team, by putting him up at guard listen, I put Dame. I can 100% see Doncic. I can see Harden there as well. I put Damian Lillard personally. I just think Damian Lillard is having a crazy good season. I think he's one of the most underrated players in the league. He's the best leader in the league. That's why I put him on my first team, but there's an argument there. But that's how I see Kawhi is going to get on the first team, is by putting him at guard, because he deserves to be on the first team. Just like Duncan in 2012, he wasn't a center, but he deserved to be on the first team. They vote him in as a center. Kawhi will get the guard spot. AD will get the center spot as well and be on the first team.
Okay, I actually I don't know if I'm ready to argue that even if I consider Kawhi a guard, that I'd have him over Doncic or Harden. I'm leaning that way. But I could be convinced otherwise. But that's just because I had Kawhi as a forward. So that's what changes.
That's how I knew it wouldn't even be on your table, because you weren't considering it. Same with AD at center, right? It's just you weren't even considering those. That's why they're not there. To me, that's how the first team I think will shape up, just because I know the way the NBA media votes, right? They want to give the people they want in, no matter how they got to do it. They got to flex the rules, even though Kawhi's only played a few games or a few minutes at guard. If they can do it, they'll do it.
Interesting. Okay. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I guess we don't have anywhere to go, right? Like Giannis, the MVP, LeBron, runner-up MVP, Doncic, captaining one of the best offenses of all time. Harden is just Harden. We know how incredible he is offensively. It's not even close. And I guess the only really thing that people would probably considered was Jokic as the first team. Like, he started out slow to start the year, but really started to turn it on as the years went on. He had an incredible January and February, really got back into Jokic form. We know how good he is, right? Like, he's like one of the only guys that you throw it to and he's your offense. Just passing off him is your offense. You cut, with Murray, with Harris, with all those guys. All those guys benefit just because Jokic is such a damn good passer. He's an underrated scorer. He's a 20-point-per-game scorer and does it out of the post in crazy unorthodox ways. Like, the way he scores, I don't think anybody in recent memory scores the way he scores, like opposite foot, like one-legged floaters, like just like crazy slow drop steps that somehow turn into buckets. Like, it's just insane.
He's a sloppy looking player, no doubt.
Yeah, but and he's not even in shape half the time, and he's still dominating. Like, imagine if the guy was in shape.
Yeah, but so if Davis is considered a center, if Davis is considered a center, who do you take on your first team?
Well, I'm probably going Davis. Davis.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I'm probably going Davis, but I had him as at the 4, and we said this off camera. I think I think the way we did it, and again, we don't have second spectrum synergy or cleaning the glass, so we don't have like any of these advanced ways to track these minutes and stuff like that. But Dwight Howard was playing 19.2 minutes per game, and JaVale was playing like 16.8. And so for the combination of those, it's about 37 minutes per game. You assume that none of those three play together, obviously, and you assume that Davis will play center.
Played. You got to remember that's per game that they've played, right? Dwight Howard hasn't played every game for the Lakers. You know what I mean? Like
True.
That's
right,
games of games that they've actually played.
True, that's fair. But given the minutes distribution, I think it's pretty fair. I'm pretty sure JaVale has played every game, and Davis has missed some time too, as well. So that impacts his amount of center minutes as well. So I mean, if you want to consider him a 7, that's fine. He's best when he closes at center for the Lakers. There's a reason he closed at center for the Lakers because that's their best lineup. That's my best argument for Davis as a center. But you play most of your minutes at power forward. I'm making you a power forward.
And I know we don't have those stats sites to look at, like you mentioned, Derek, but neither do 85% of the people that actually vote on this stuff anyways use those sites. So I don't think there's much worry about missing out on those.
Okay, fair. I don't disagree.
So hold on, was everyone's first team the same for you three?
Yeah.
Yes.
Harden, Doncic, LeBron, Giannis, Jokic. Yeah.
Dame was close. Dame was
right there, man. He was right there.
Yeah. So Niko, sorry, can you state your first team one more time so we have it?
Yeah, so my first team again was Anthony Davis at center, Giannis and LeBron at the forwards, Kawhi and Dame at guard.
Okay, awesome. So let's go to the second team here. Anybody else want to start on their second team?
I can do it if you want.
All right, Nick, go ahead.
Whoever wants to go.
All right, Nick, take it.
Me?
Yep.
Okay, I got AD at the forward, Kawhi at forward, Dame at guard, Westbrook at guard, and Embiid at center.
I'm almost the same as you. Alex, what do you got?
I'm almost. I got Kawhi Davis, same as you. I got Drummond second, just because Embiid missed a lot of games this year.
No, it's fair.
And Drummond, yeah. And then I got Damian and I got Beal.
Okay, I like the Beal pick. Beal didn't make my team. So Nick, I'm pretty much the same as you, but I got CP3 instead of Westbrook.
Okay, yeah, CP's on my third team. So
I am completely different than everyone.
Okay, I love it, Niko. Fire away.
So at center, of course, because I didn't have my first team, is Jokic, obviously. Doncic and Harden, since they were in my first team, they're my guards. And my forwards are two picks that I haven't heard yet, unless I misheard. Jimmy Butler and Jason Tatum.
They're both my third team forwards.
They're on my second. They're on my second team. Butler, Tatum, I've thought has had an amazing year on a great team. He definitely deserves to be there. He's the best player on that team right now. Kemba's great with them. They have a lot of good pieces, but that's Jason Tatum's team moving forward. He's been playing great. I think he deserves to be on this spot. Same with Jimmy Butler. He's been having another great year, especially defensively for that Miami Heat team, and helping take on a leadership role with a bunch of their young guys there. I think he's done a great job, and that's why Butler's on my second team as well.
Wow, that's interesting. I like that you went a different way with it. Again, mine was Lillard, Chris Paul, Kawhi Leonard, Anthony Davis, Joel Embiid. Again, that's the difference is Niko is just the positional classifications,
exactly.
which will mix things up. I'll just go through mine. Lillard, I don't think anybody has an argument with Lillard. This guy's just been dominant. Like, he was really close for first team for me. Like, it was
for
real
sure.
Close.
He just missed out first team.
Yeah, he was that good. If the Blazers were any better, I think I'd probably had him first team. I think the thing most people will disagree with me here is the Chris Paul over Russell Westbrook for second team. I think it was really close for me. The raw counting stats obviously go to Westbrook, but you just look a little deeper. Westbrook is taking 10 more shots than Chris Paul per game. That's obviously got to be factored in. Chris Paul obviously more efficient than Westbrook. They're averaging the same amount of assists, but Paul has twice as few turnovers. And the thing about Westbrook, why I had trouble putting him on the second team, is because out of any of these players, I don't think any organization has catered to a star as much as they did to Russell Westbrook. And let me explain what I mean by that. When Westbrook started the year, everybody remembers he was awful. Westbrook was just bad. Like, he wasn't even all-star. People were saying Westbrook's not even an all-star this year. They were that bad. And the reason was because Westbrook's jump shot has just disappeared. It has just absolutely gone. I don't know where it's gone, but he's basically become closer to Ben Simmons than he has Russell Westbrook. Like, he's attacking the basket relentlessly. But the only reason he's able to do that is because, one, he's been gifted basically a advantage because teams have double teamed Harden. They've basically gifted Westbrook a 4-on-3 advantage because they're double teaming Harden. We're giving Westbrook the ball and say, okay, go attack a 4-on-3. I don't know of any other all-NBA player or even all-star that has that advantage where I can just play 4-on-3 almost every offensive possession. And the other thing too is even that got to be too much. So the Rockets had to trade a first-round pick and Clint Capella to bring in Robert Covington just so they could get only one non-shooter on the floor instead of two because, obviously Capella a non-shooter, Westbrook now a non-shooter. Their system doesn't work with two guys who can't shoot on the floor. The spacing is all messed up. So the Rockets literally –
That's not the only reason they made that trade, though. I know it's one of the reasons, but that's not the only.
So what was the other reason then?
Well, one, I think Capella's 4-year deal is one thing, too. They didn't want that 4 years of making – I think he's around 18, 19 million a year.
Solid deal. Yeah, I thought that was a solid deal. But okay, continue.
And the way they play so just the style of play. Covington fits so much more to that team than Capella. But I mean, the main reason, like you said, was to make sure they don't have. But now
they've gone all eggs in one basket. When CP3 was there last year, they didn't have to play that way. Capella was just fine, and they had one of the best offenses. And in 2017-18, they had one of the best defenses. So you take that same player I'm putting him up against and understanding that now, okay, maybe it was a little bit of the Capella contract. I tend to disagree with that theme.
And they wanted help on wing D too. Covington gives them wing D help too. So.
Yeah, for sure. He definitely does. But I think a lot of the fact is that you can't have two non-shooters on the floor. And the fact that they invested a whole first-round pick and trading away, their center who has worked for them the past 2 years to be able to cater to Russell Westbrook, I think has to be factored in. It has to be factored in.
So I agree with Derek. I don't even have Westbrook making any of my All-NBA teams this year.
There you go.
I do agree with you. I think Chris Paul leaving Houston was the nail in the coffin for Capella as well. The reason Capella played so well the past 2 years was because Paul was there, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So with Chris Paul gone and Russell Westbrook in, Capella didn't fit the system, and I agree with Nick that the contract was too much. He had to go.
Fair enough. So I got Kawhi Leonard as my forward. I think that's pretty obvious. Anthony Davis as my forward. That's pretty obvious. And I went Embiid. I still think Embiid has been pretty good. The Sixers are still a top defense, and Embiid's a big part of that. I know Simmons
for sure. I'm with you there.
Would probably be on an all defensive team this year because of his work. And it's been a down season for Embiid, no doubt. But if I'm considering Davis a power forward, there's no real other contender that's going to really take his spot. I don't think Gobert had been better than Embiid this year. Towns started off ridiculously hot, but, it's cooled off. I don't think you can put him ahead of Embiid either. And, Bam Adebayo, maybe he has a conversation, but again, I just don't think he's been as good defensively as Embiid, and the offensive impact for Embiid is just much, much stronger than
My strike against Embiid is that Embiid's missed 20 games.
Yeah, his durability is the big question.
He's missed 20 games. In an 82-game season, missing 20 games isn't that bad. In a 60-game season, missing 20 games is a significant amount for me.
Fair enough. And I do tend to agree with that. I think I put a little more weight in missed games with All-Star because I think when it comes to All-NBA, we tend to look at that with a little bit more weight when we look back in history than an all-star. So I just want to be sure that when we do all NBA, we get the best 15 players. You know what I mean? Because I just don't want a few missed games to, really hamper when we look back, who was the best player that specific year. When we know it had that player played their amount of games, there was most likely going to make a team over the player who was there more often. I get it. Availability is a skill these days and all that sort of stuff, especially with the load management stuff. But I don't know. There was nobody on my teams, although one was close, that missed too many games for me to consider. But again, Lillard, Paul, Leonard, Davis, and Embiid was my second team.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was pretty much a consensus of most of them with all the different players. It's all whether they fit in the first, second, or third teams. We're getting over an hour here, so maybe we should get to our third team now. I'm very interested to see who Derek has as center on his third team. Because I know it's not Bam because he said at the beginning it's not Bam, so I'm kind of curious to see who the center is on his third.
It'll be Gobert probably.
Right.
That's who I'm thinking too.
So my third team was I got Westbrook at guard. I still have to give some credit to the fact that he's become more self-aware this year and the fact that he's abandoned the jump shot because he knows he can't shoot, which at least that is better than just being damaging by shooting shots he knows he can't shoot. So I got Westbrook on my third team. I got Paul George as the other guard on my third team. And my 2 forwards were Chris Middleton, Pascal Siakam, and yes, my center was Gobert.
Okay, I'm way different.
Oh, I love it. Let's do it.
I'm different.
I'm got forwards Tatum and Butler, so the same forwards as Niko had on the second team.
Interesting. Okay.
Guards, I got CP and Trae Young,
Okay.
and then center I got Bam.
Oh, okay. Cool. I like that. I want to ask your opinion on that in a second, Nick. Alex, what do you got?
I got Bam center.
Okay.
I got Trae and Westbrook as my guards.
Okay.
And I got Butler and Siakam.
Okay.
Well, if we're saying Trae, what's the problem of having Beal? Because I feel like Beal's such on a bad team that he has to do what he's doing. He's producing. He's averaging, I think, 30 points. Trae Young's averaging 30 points. Mm-hmm. So what is the difference of not having Beal on any of the 3, but having Trae Young?
Well, I didn't have Beal or Trae, so I'll let these other guys explain.
So I actually have Beal on my third team.
Okay. I didn't have either, so I'll let you guys go off about that.
So my third team is actually a kind of a mix of Derek's and Nick's. So I have Chris Middleton and Pascal Siakam as my forwards. And I have CP3, Bradley Beal as my guards. And at center, I have Bam Adebayo. Again, ours are very different. Mine's very different than all you guys because I classified my positions differently. But again, we've hit most of the same players within these 3 teams. The only ones that have been a bit different is me and Alex have Beal. Alex and Nick threw up Trae Young there at the end. Yeah. I didn't hear Tatum on your list there, Derek. He's not on any of your teams. Oh,
he was the last cut. He was the last cut.
He didn't make my team.
I got him. It was between him and Siakam.
Was Butler on any of your teams?
I had Butler in my third. Butler in my third with Siakam.
No Butler, no Tatum.
Got Siakam and Middleton, man.
So I don't have Paul George on mine. Same reason I don't have Embiid on mine. The guy's missed over 20 games. I think he's missed 22 games this year. In the 60-game season, that's too much for me. I can't do
that's
it.
Fair. That's not an argument thing. That's just a preference thing.
Yeah, I can't rationalize putting them on there. And to me, Beal missed the All-Star game unfairly. He should have been on that team. So you know what? Give him a third-team spot. He's put up the numbers for it. Yeah, it's been on a bad team, but he's done his best. He's stuck it out. He's played hard. I'd reward him with an NBA All-Third team.
Yeah.
So between Trae Young and Bradley Beal, I think I didn't have either of them on any of my teams, but I think their cases are very similar. Both defensive liabilities that are just putting up offensive engine type numbers for their squad, and they don't survive without them. So I see the argument. Me personally, again, none of those teams are winning. And I didn't have, I had Beal on my all-star team. I didn't have Trae Young when I did it, but I guess I see it. But I guess, me personally, I had Westbrook and George. George, obviously, if we're going between, all the guards, to me, he's still the best guard if we're classifying him by that. And I know the missed games is probably why you guys didn't have him, on your squad. But then it just goes back to my, my thesis of, I prefer to have the best players on there as opposed to just, penalizing missed games, as long as there's not a ridiculously significant missed games, like under 50%. And George, I think, played 65% of his team's games. Middleton, I think most of us had here 50, 40, 90 season. Like the minutes with him without Giannis have been pretty fantastic. Like it's hard for me to leave him off. Siakam versus Tatum was the big debate for me. Like I went back and forth on that one for so long. Like for me, it was between Siakam, Tatum, and Butler. Between those three. And I say, okay, who's the worst of these 3 if I had to pick? Well, I went with Butler as being the worst of those 3. And then if you look at the cases for Tatum and Siakam, they're very similar. Statistically, it's like almost identical. And so my tiebreaker was who's shouldering the bigger load offensively between the 2, and I went with Siakam. I think
that's fair.
Yeah, and I think defensively they're about the same. I think Tatum is very underrated defensively. I think off the ball he's like really good in the passing lanes. He's right up there in defensive box plus minus or whatever. Siakam's fantastic defender, just in a different way, we know. So I just went with who's shouldering the bigger load, and I went with Siakam as my choice. So
here's the big thing too, right? On my first team, I have AD as a center and Kawhi as a guard. That would open up 2 more forward spots if that was okay, right? So that's where Tatum and Butler would fill in for you too. My issue with if we're talking the first 2.5 months of the season, Siakam's on my second team, 100%. Right. But when you factor in afterwards, which he still had a lot of great games, but he's also had a lot of just okay games. You know what I mean? I don't want to say he slumped because he's still been a very good player. He's on my third team. Like, he's still been one of the best players in the league, but he wasn't as explosive and as dynamic as he was at the beginning of the season, in my opinion, which is why Tatum and Butler edged him out on my second team as opposed to third team. Siakam's a very good player, and he'll still grow into more. I mean, he's only been playing basketball for what, 6-7 years? Like the guy's still going to grow into a better player. But I just think afterwards, after the first few months when teams started playing him a bit harder on defense, he's kind of slipped a little bit. And Butler and Tatum, they've proven to me that they've had a better year than Siakam, in my opinion.
I just got one question. Who had CP3? Derek and Nick?
I had him on my second team. Yeah.
He was on my third team.
Yes, correct.
What was the difference for you two, like Derek and Nick, that you had CP3 ahead of Bradley Beal? Was it the standings? Was that what, like? Was that
no, for me,
the different things he does on the court. Yeah. He's more versatile player, more diverse player. The record, but I mean, Beal and Young were close for me. Trae Young and Beal were close. That was closer to me than CP. CP was more clear cut.
So the argument for CP, obviously, you look at raw box score stats. Beal's going to take him there. The efficiency for CP3 is higher. Defensively, he's miles better than Bradley Beal. CP3 is guarding like 3s and 4s in some of these lineups, especially in the crunch time lineups. He's been the most clutch player in the NBA. He's been driving the growth of a lot of guys like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Dennis Schroeder being better point guards. He's, gotten the most out of, Steven Adams and Nerlens Noel. His ability to get shots for Danilo Gallinari and making him a better player also has to be factored in. And, just the fact that, Chris Paul is the 4th leading scorer on the Thunder and he's still their best player. Like, that's how, that's all you need to hear from me about how impactful he is.
They could have answered your question a lot quicker, Alex, because your question was, is it just a fact of records? And my answer is yes. 100% it is. As a point guard, your main role is to make your teammates around you better. And Chris Paul does that way better than Trae Young, and he does that way better than Bradley Beal. And the record of the Oklahoma City Thunder proved that. If Bradley Beal's Washington Wizards were 6th or 5th in the East, I would say 100% Bradley Beal over Chris Paul States right now. Just because you look at the external stats, like your points, you're just all around going hard in just Bradley Beal's a gamer. If he had these stats on a great team, I guarantee you he'd be looked at higher. But you look at Chris Paul, what he's done for the Thunder, that team looks like a completely different team than they did last year when they had Westbrook at the helm, right? So, but then again, like Derek said, he's the 4th top scorer on the Thunder. You got a lot of good players on that team, a lot of good point guards on that team. We talk about Schroeder being 6th man. Shai Gilgeous plays the guard role perfectly with them as well. So, I mean, that team's a good team. Chris Paul makes his teammates better, and their team is better, which is why he gets the spot on my third team. Although Beal's on my third team as well, but Trae Young's not there, simply for the fact that Trae Young is a king of putting up pointless statistics. He's putting up great points and assists on a shitty Hawks team. He's like Kevin Love in Minnesota. Kevin Love put up great numbers, went to the Cavaliers, and exposed. Kevin Love put up double-doubles every year. Everyone talked to him as like he was the most underrated player. Then he went to Cleveland, and he fit in as his role as a number 2. Trae Young will never be a superstar and the number 1 guy on a good playoff team. Trae Young needs that fourth quarter 12, 15 points that he puts up when the other team has stopped playing because they've already blown out the Hawks. Trae Young is a great player. Don't get me wrong. He's a gamer, but the guy will never be that guy on a number 1 team and never on a top 6 in a conference team ever. Unless
he's like 25.
I'm sweating.
Well, no, you're right. I'm saying right now, the way he's playing, the way he plays games, when you actually watch him play, he doesn't do enough to get his team to the playoffs by himself. He needs a guy better than him to take the load and have him be the sidekick. And you watch. That's what will happen. He'll either go to a team or Atlanta will bring in a better player, and you watch. That's exactly what's going to happen.
Disagree.
Okay. I might be able to go another hour on that topic. So I'm just gonna let that take make me sweat as it is right now because it was so hot, and we'll leave it at that. So
I'll come collect in a few years when we all finally see who Trae Young really is.
Okay. I guarantee you that Trae Young can be the best player on his team and his team could win. He just needs a guy around him that's better than what he has right now. But he can easily.
John Collins is a great player.
He is, for sure, but he's okay. Yeah, John Collins is a good player, no doubt. I don't disagree with that.
You put a better point guard on that Atlanta Hawks team. They're a lot. I could probably name 10 point guards you put on Atlanta, and they're better than they are right now with Trae Young. 10. That's 1/3 of the NBA.
Oh man, I have so much to say, but I'm just going to hold it back because we're nearing the end. Okay. So let's just go through our All-NBA teams one more time. I'll do mine here. My first team, Harden, Doncic, LeBron, Giannis, Jokic. My second team, Lillard, CP3, Kawhi Leonard, Anthony Davis, Joel Embiid. And my third team was Westbrook, Paul George, Chris Middleton, Pascal Siakam, and Rudy Gobert.
Yeah, okay, so my first team was Anthony Davis, Giannis Antetokounmpo, LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard, Damian Lillard. My second team was Jokic, Doncic, Harden, Butler, Tatum. And my third team was Pascal Siakam, Chris Middleton, Bam Adebayo, Bradley Beal, and CP3.
Alex, you want to go ahead or you want me to take it?
You
Just
take
go.
it.
Just go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, yeah, I got same first team as you, Derek. I got Jokic at center, LeBron and Giannis at forward. Then guards, I got Doncic and Harden. Forwards on NBA second team, Davis and Kawhi. Guards, Dame and Westbrook. Center, Embiid. Third team, Tatum and Butler. Trey and Chris Paul. And center, Bam. But like I said, Beal was close for that third team over Trey as well. And Gobert I considered.
All right, I got for my first team, the guards Harden, Luka, and I got Giannis, LeBron, and then I got Jokic. And then I got Lillard and Beal, Davis, Kawhi, and I got Drummond. And then I got Trey and Westbrook, Butler and Siakam, and then I got Bam.
Alrighty, man. This was fun. This was fun. I enjoyed doing it.
I definitely needed this for this quarantine.
That's good. Well, I enjoyed doing this with you guys. Hopefully we'll be able to do another one. Maybe we'll have to pick a topic.
Yeah, next week we could go into Trae Young versus the world. I'll take the side of the world.
Oh my God! I would literally be prepared to do that because honestly, it's just for this year. Niko, I was actually going to agree with you, and then you went just way crazy. Because I was gonna say, hey, if you take Trae Young away from the Hawks, where are they? Well, they're in the same place that they would be without Trae Young.
Exact same spot.
That is a good argument.
Actually, they might be better depending who's playing point. We don't know.
Then you went on this, but then
like
you went on this
Derek,
rant
they
of
can't be worse.
But then you went on this rant of he'll never be the best player on a good team and all this crazy nonsense. Oh my God! We just took what he was doing and threw it out the window. No. He's still good. But the reason I say you take Trae Young off the Hawks and they're still in the same place is because it's not a testament to how good or how bad Trae Young is in your case. It's a testament to there's literally nothing around him. I mean nothing. Dude, they were playing Evan Turner at backup point guard. When Evan Turner was out, they played Cam Reddish. And DeAndre Hunter at backup point guard. The minutes without Trae Young are friggin' insanely bad.
Trae Young is a good player. Don't get me wrong. All I'm saying, and I'm not saying he's a bad player by any means. The guy could score. He's one of the best pure scoring point guards right now in the league.
And passers.
And passers. Yeah, 100%. All I'm saying is he will never be the number one on a winning team. He won't.
On a winning team. So when you say winning, what is winning?
Playoffs.
A playoff team that could actually be a threat to win one series, not the
championship. I know what he's saying. I can agree with that.
I don't even come close to agreeing with that.
I'm with Nick. So you don't think he can be the best player on a playoff team that wins a series?
So I think his peak is being the best player on a Eastern Conference 7th seed.
Yeah, that's what they said. Orlando, maybe.
Yeah, like an Orlando Magic type team, something like that type of style with Atlanta tools around him. My thing is, I don't see Trae Young making his team better. I don't.
Okay, my stomach's about to go.
He can get assists. Don't get me wrong. He can get the assists. But I mean, at the end of the day, these are all professional NBA players. If you get a pass and you're open to shoot, you better be making it, even if you're on the worst team in the league. You can get assists without making your team better. It's not hard.
Because he averages 10 assists, 30 points and averages 9.3 assists. He's doing his job. He's doing what he's supposed to do in the Hawks, but they're not.
But they don't win. John Collins is a great second piece. I love John Collins.
John Collins is a third piece on a good team.
No, 100. I'm with you. John Collins is a third piece. Trae Young is a second piece. If they get a first piece, that Hawks team will be dangerous.
Trae Young's a first piece. They need a second piece.
I don't think so.
They need a defensive wing.
You got to remember how many point guards are the number ones on their team, right?
None of them.
Very rare.
Though that actually win championships, there's been 4 in the history of the league. But we're not talking about winning championships. We're talking about winning a first-round series. That's why this is so astronomical. If you said Trae Young couldn't be the best player on a championship team, like a team that wins a title, I'd say, yeah, sure. Like, do you know how high a bar that is? Like, there's only like 2 or 3 point guards that have ever done that. But when you said won't get at it, like a team that won't win a first round series in the East, in the East, my God, I almost threw up.
Who in the East last year? Who in the East last year won a playoff series with a point guard as their number one? All I can think of is Kyrie Irving on the Celtics.
Yeah, that's true. But we're making it seem like Trae Young isn't like one of the best point guards in the NBA. Like he is already, and he's like 20.
He's not top 10.
Not.
You can't tell me 10 point guards better than Kyrie or than Trae Young.
I most definitely can, and we should do that next week, same time.
Okay, yeah, that's a good teaser. I like that. All right, guys, thanks so much for joining us. Thanks for coming on to the Isoball podcast. We'll have to, yeah, I agree, Nick. We'll have to do this again sometime. I think this Trae Young topic is going to drive me off the wall, so we might have to do that. But yeah, thanks so much for coming on. Appreciate you guys doing the award stuff, and stay safe during this quarantine. And yeah, maybe we'll talk next week. Who knows? We'll see.
Yeah, thanks for having us on, Derek. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Derek.
Thanks for setting up the Zoom call here, Niko. And Alex, thanks for being a first-time guest here. And hopefully we'll have you on a little more too.
Oh, for sure, yes.
All righty. Take it easy, guys. Peace.
Easy.
See you later.